Hi everybody, Lenaria Guy here, coming to you with an emotional transmission, coming to you with lots of tenderness and gratitude and absolute honor that I'm holding in my heart right now, to which I want to share with you. Hey, everybody who's just joined. I love what I do. I love what I do so very much because I get to teach people how to love themselves. I mean, what could be more incredible to have people go from hating themselves to loving themselves and living the life of their dreams? What could be more amazing than helping people overcome their insecurities and their self-doubt, and then going and passing that on to themselves and their families and their children and their workplaces? I love that so much, and I've been working with women for many years on this topic, and now and again, which has got me so emotional today, is that now and again I get the honor of working with a teenage girl, and I haven't had many sessions with this particular human. But today I had a massive breakthrough with them, and so much so that even in the session I got choked up, which I don't usually do. Lovely to have you here, Beck. I don't usually do. I don't usually get choked up. As a coach, I'm really good at feeling empathy, but not necessarily get carried away. And today, because over the course of an hour's conversation, 1 hour, can you imagine? Can you imagine in 1 hour your life changing forevermore? Forevermore. And I'm sure that we've all had moments in our life where 1 hour or 1 minute has changed everything for us. Maybe that's when you first met your child or your husband, or, you know, sometimes we lose loved ones and everything changes in an instant. And I get so much joy and value being able to help people to realize the truth of their existence and the truth of the reality that they are enough. And to be honest, this particular person has been, for what I would call, a bit of a tough nut to crack. Yeah. She's so embedded in the belief that she's not enough, that's, you know, she got her first eating disorder when she was 9 till 11 and hated herself so much that even after the healing of the anorexia actually led her to a binge eating disorder. And I've had bulimia myself, and I've had sort of binge eating disorders along those lines as well, and I've suffered greatly. Yeah, Beck, thank you. Thank you. Beck, she said, I felt this hit me as I read it. Whoa, you have so much heart and love, Lenaria Guy. Thank you, Beck. I so appreciate that. I love serving all of my clients, but to have this experience where a 14-year-old girl, who, and I remember being 14, I remember how I viewed myself when I was 14, and I remember what it was like to just be chasing enoughness. And I chased enoughness well into my 20s, and let's face it, probably well into my, the early days of my 30s. I spent my whole life chasing enoughness. If I could just get skinny enough, if I could just get popular enough, if I could just get the right parts in that play, if I could just get probably wasn't grades for me at the time, but if I could just get people to like me enough, if I could sleep with the hottest boy in class, and as time was on, if it was still get skinny enough, it was get rich enough, get the boyfriend, get the job, get all the things. If I could just get all the things, then I would be enough. And I spent my whole life chasing enoughness only to realize that it was never out there and that it's always been in here. And I never knew that. And at the beginning of our conversation today with this 14-year-old girl, I asked her, in fact, I interrupted one of her rants and I said, honey, are you enough? And she laughed. She said, no, of course I'm not enough. I mean, can you feel that for yourself? Like a 14-year-old saying, of course I'm not enough, unequivocally. Like, are you mad That was how she kind of responded to me. Are you crazy? As if I'm enough. How could I possibly be enough? Is what she said to me. There's still so much I need to do. I need to get this score on my schoolwork coming up. I need to get this skinny. I need to change my body. If I could just, and if I'm going to quote it here, and obviously it's completely anonymous here. There's nobody knows who I'm talking about. If I can just be super intelligent, if I can just be a good enough person, if I can be beautiful, if I can just show everybody that I'm worth it, then I will be. That was now 70 minutes ago. And over the course of our conversation, that beautiful woman, that beautiful young woman, that beautiful soul literally had convinced me that they're enough. That we had proven unequivocally that they're enough. And I say this to everyone here watching at home. Is there anybody that you know and love who isn't enough? My loves, is there any baby in the world who is not enough? Is there any child that you have ever come across that is not enough? And I bet that every single one of you says, no, of course not. All babies, all children are enough. And so then I ask you, when did you grow out of it? When did you stop being enough? Because you were that baby. You were that child who was always enough, who could never do anything, no matter how much we don't like their behaviors or their tantrums or their chatbacks. That child was still enough. And you might tell me some stories. You might go ahead and tell me some things about all the reasons why you've collected evidence in your life to confirm that you're not enough. And I will show you all the stories that you have believed. I will show you all the lies that you have believed over your life. I will show you every program and every condition that you have believed in society that have told you that you're not enough. And I will tell you that you are believing the lie. My loves, you have always been enough. There's nothing that you can ever do to stop you from being enough. You were born enough and you will die enough. I hate to break it to you, there is nothing that you can do to change your enoughness. You can try. You can keep believing the lies that you have been told and fed and continued to pay attention to. Or you can remember the truth that you were born enough. You can remember the truth that you've always been enough, because it is the truth. You can't avoid that. I hate to break it to you. I don't. I actually love it. I love to break it to you. There is nothing that you can ever do to stop you from being enough. And this was part of the conversation that I had with this amazing, incredible, insightful, courageous 14-year-old. And I don't know, can you imagine if you had somebody tell you when you're 14 this truth? Can you imagine if you didn't have to, and I'm saying this for myself, imagine if I didn't have to go through the last 24 years or those 20 years or 15 years of hating myself. Imagine if I didn't have to do that. Imagine what kind of world we would live in if all of us just knew inherently that we were enough. Imagine how much suffering we wouldn't have to do. Life still happens. Shit still happens. I get that. Doesn't mean that everything's going to be rosy all the time. But when we believe, not even believe, but when we know the truth that we're enough, I can't imagine what her life is now going to look like. I can't imagine. And I'm so excited for what her life is going to look like, aren't you? And I've set her up for success with this. I've let her know that the world is going to try to convince you there's going to be things in your life, maybe when you're binging or maybe when you've not done the behavior that you thought was socially acceptable. The old story and the old lie is going to come back and try to convince you of the falseness. I will tell you a little bit. I almost outed Santa Claus. I had this moment of like, Of like, you know, when you're a kid and you believed in Santa and then you realized it was a lie. And before I said it, I was like, ooh, just careful. I don't know the age that happened. I almost put my foot in it. I didn't. But I'll say it to you now. So if you, kids, my apologies. And if adults, my apologies if I've just ruined your Christmas. There comes a point in our life when we recognize that even though the lie seemed really beautiful, even though the lie or the made up or the story, if you want to call it that, even though the story seemed really convincing when we were younger, in order for us to step into our truth, we have to believe the truth. We have to recognize what the truth is. And in this instance, the truth is that you've always been enough, that she's always been enough, and there's nothing that she can ever do to change that. And she's an ambitious young girl. She wants to do a lot in her life, and I told her, go for it. You learning that you're enough does not dispel your ambition. I was worried about that for a little while, but it's not. It never does. It never does, because when you live your life from a space of enoughness, you always have more to give. You always give more when you have more. When you know that you're enough, you don't have to worry about insecurities. You don't have to worry about self-doubt. You don't have to sit there and convince yourself and dealing with all the thoughts that tell you that you're not enough. You can just go in and change in the world however you want to do that. Through your kids, through your businesses, through your work. Whatever it is for you, you get to get on with doing that. And man, this is why I'm so passionate about what I do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for witnessing this amazing gift, as Annie has said. What a gift you've just given to her. What a gift she has given to herself. To allow herself to be free enough in her thinking to challenge the belief. To challenge the belief that she's not enough. And the whole last 10 minutes of our conversation, she, on repeat, I am enough just as I am. I am enough just as I am. I am enough just as I am. And I told her to put it everywhere. Put it all over your house. Remind yourself all the time of the truth. Not some made-up belief. It's not a mantra. It's the truth. We have to remember the truth, my love. The truth is that you are enough. You always have been and you always will be. Everything else surrounding that, I call it a lie. You might want to call it a story. You might want to call it programming or conditioning. I don't care what you call it. It's okay, whatever you want to call it. But understand that it's not the truth. You are enough. You've always been enough. You will always be enough. And to that beautiful, young, amazing human, may we all have a moment right now just to celebrate her and what a difference it's going to make in her life, having this moment of realization. I wish that for you. I wish that for the children in your life. I wish that for the teens in your life. I wish that for your parents in every generation. I wish for all of us to come to that realization so that we can get on with living and serving and making this world such a better place, because we make our internal world a better one. I love you. I hope you love you too. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for sharing this beautiful, beautiful moment. And I tell you what, if you've got young daughters, if you've got school, you know, if there's a school that you want me to come talk at and run workshops, I run a Shine program for young girls in schools. So if you have leads, if you have contacts, if you know people and you feel like your daughter needs me at the school to come deliver a talk, please get in touch with me. I'm open and available to that kind of work right now. And I'm very, very passionate about getting this out into schools so we can prevent rather than the cure. I do both. Let's start them young. Let's teach them now before it's too late. I love you so much. I'll talk to you all very, very soon. Thank you for being here. You are enough. You've always been enough, just as you are.